For centuries, humans have been obsessed with separating truth from falsehood. We've devised elaborate methods, from ancient torture devices to the modern polygraph, hoping to find a foolproof way to expose liars. But the truth is, these methods are often unreliable. Polygraphs, for example, measure physiological responses like heart rate and sweating. The assumption is that these responses spike when someone lies. However, these physiological changes can also be triggered by stress, anxiety, or even just the act of being interrogated. This means an innocent person can easily fail a polygraph test simply because they are nervous. The search for a truly reliable lie detector requires a different approach, one that delves into the very essence of how we communicate. Traditional lie detection methods often rely on interpreting physical cues, like a racing pulse or sweaty palms. But these methods are flawed. They mistake anxiety or nervousness for deception. A more nuanced approach examines the subtle ways our language betrays us when we attempt to deceive. Linguistic text analysis offers a more promising avenue for lie detection. This method focuses on the words people use, analyzing patterns and inconsistencies that may reveal deception. The premise is simple. Constructing a lie is cognitively demanding. It requires the liar to invent a story, suppress the truth, and monitor their demeanor for any signs of betrayal. This cognitive overload often manifests in subtle shifts in language. Liars may use fewer first-person pronouns, employ more negative language, or provide overly simplistic or excessively detailed explanations. These linguistic quirks, often imperceptible to the human ear, can be detected through careful analysis of written or spoken words. Unlike traditional methods that rely on often unreliable physiological responses, linguistic analysis focuses on the language of deception. Constructing a lie is a cognitively demanding task, and the strain often reveals itself in our choice of words and sentence structure. Let's delve into some specific patterns that often betray a liar. One common indicator is a reduction in self-references. When people tell the truth, they tend to use I statements, taking ownership of their words. Liars, however, often distance themselves from their fabrications by using fewer first-person pronouns. They might say the car was driven instead of I drove the car. Another telltale sign is the use of negative language. Lying can evoke feelings of guilt or anxiety, which might manifest in the use of negative words or phrases. For example, a liar might say, I hate it when things go wrong, instead of simply saying, it's unfortunate this happened. Liars often exhibit predictable patterns in their language. They may distance themselves from their lies by reducing self-references, using fewer I statements. The emotional burden of lying can also seep into their language, manifesting as an increase in negative words or phrases. Section 4. High-profile deception case studies in linguistic analysis. The case of Lance Armstrong provides a compelling example of linguistic analysis in action. In his initial denials of doping allegations, Armstrong consistently avoided using I statements. He spoke about himself in the third person, saying things like, Lance Armstrong would never do that. However, in his 2013 confession, Armstrong's language shifted dramatically. He used I statements repeatedly, taking ownership of his actions and expressing remorse. Similarly, John Edwards, who initially denied fathering a child out of wedlock, provided convoluted explanations and avoided naming the child directly. When he finally admitted the truth, his language became simpler and more direct, acknowledging his daughter by name. The cases of Lance Armstrong and John Edwards provide real-world examples of how linguistic analysis can expose deception. The shifts in their language, from evasive to direct, from distant to personal, mirrored their transition from denial to confession. Section 5. Everyday applications. Navigating a world of untruths. While these examples involve high-profile cases, the principles of linguistic analysis can be applied to everyday situations. By paying attention to the subtle cues in language, we can become more adept at detecting deception, whether it's a friend embellishing a story, a colleague making false promises, or a salesperson using deceptive tactics. Of course, Linguistic analysis is not a foolproof method for lie detection. Context matters, and cultural differences can influence language use. However, by understanding the basic principles of how language betrays deception, we can become more discerning listeners and make more informed decisions in all aspects of our lives. The ability to detect deception is not just a matter of curiosity, it's a crucial life skill. By understanding the subtle ways language reveals our true intentions, we can navigate a world of untruths with greater confidence and protect ourselves from manipulation.